Torgarmah and Ashkenaz. But before we get too deep into the video, first I want to tell you guys about my social media platforms. So I have a Clubhouse account and we can actually talk to one another on it. I also host Clubhouse rooms every now and then where I might talk about history and genetics of the Middle East and Africa. I have a Twitter page, a Facebook account, and a Facebook page, as well as a Instagram, all titled The Hebrew of Israel. And what I typically do on these platforms is post upcoming videos as well as slides for my presentations. And so just be on the lookout for all of that on my social media platforms. And if you want to support me financially for the channel, you can look at my Patreon as well as my PayPal and my GoFundMe. And with all of that out of the way, let's begin with the video. What we have learned from our studies so far is that one, Togarmah is the father of Armenians and Anatolians. He would likely be the progenitor of haplogroup J, and two, Ashkenaz is the father of Germanics and Nordics, and he would likely be the progenitor of haplogroup I. So let's quickly cover Torgarmah, haplogroup J, Armenians, and Anatolians, the reasons why we say this. So, according to Armenian and Georgian traditions, another Torgarmah, this one being the son of both Tyrus and Gomer, is mentioned by Armenian Moses of Coron and Georgian Letoni Mavaroni, who regarded Togarmah as the founder of their nation along with other Caucasian peoples. According to Moses of Coron, History of Armenia, and to Leonti Mavroni, Medieval Georgian Chronicles, Torgamos was thought to have lived in Babylon before he received the land between the two seas and two mountains, i.e., the Caucasus, in his possession. He then settled near Mount Ararat and divided his land among his sons. Hayek, first son of Torgamos, inherited Mount Ararat and founded the nation of Armenia, or founded the Armenian nation. And he had other descendants such as Carlotos, Heros, Caucasus, and we'll actually cover those sons at another date. But when it comes to haplogroup J connecting Torgarmah, we use the origin and diffusion of human Y chromosome haplogroup J1-M267. And reading what's in yellow, the J1A1B-Z18375 branch is found overwhelmingly among ancient and modern populations from the Caucasus, the Armenian highland, Iran, and Anatolia. This branch constitutes the aforementioned peak of haplogroup J1-M267 frequency in the Northeast Caucasus. Haplogroup J1-M267 were found among populations living in the Caucasus and neighboring regions. And this is from Ancient History Encyclopedia, Armenian Mythology. This is the story of Hayek and Bel and places the origins of the Armenian people as the descendants of biblical Noah via his son Japheth. Hayek, a descendant of Japheth and noted archer, hence his later association with Orion, rebelled one day against Bel the evil and repressive Babylonian tyrant and returned back to his homeland around Mount Ararat in ancient Armenia. Bel followed Hayek and his relations so that a mighty battle followed in which Bel was killed. Hayek then gave his name to his descendants, the Hay people, and the name of the region of Armenia in the Armenian language, Hayeste. Origin and diffusion of human Y chromosome haplogroup J1-M267. Reading what's in yellow, most of the deeply diverged lineages belong to the population from the northern latitudes of the region in line with the findings of the late Pleistocene hunter-gatherer from South Caucasus. Our analysis provides better statistical confidence for the origin of haplogroup J1-M267 in the area encompassing the Caucasus, the Armenian highland, and the Zagros Mountains. Haplogroup J1 is pretty much in the region, originated in the region that Japheth descendants settled. This is the territory of Japheth, specifically the territory of Torgarmah. And these people would have been Armenoid, basically short-headed and high-skulled type with fleshy features, a flat occiput and hooked nose, often black-haired with light brown skin, common in the mountainous regions of Asia Minor, especially in Anatolia and Armenia. So that's exactly what we're dealing with. Now let's deal with Ashkenaz, haplogroup I, Germanics and Nordics. So this is from Encyclopedia Judica, and it says, in the Babylonian Talmud, the biblical Gomer, the father of Ashkenaz, is rendered as Germania, although in its original context the reference is to Germanica in northwest Syria. In addition to this incorrect identification, a possible source of explanation may be in the name of Sekuzda or Sekazdia, the designation of Scandinavia in several sources, which was rendered as the cradle of some Germanic tribes. The association with Ashkenaz with Skansta is found as early as the 6th century in the Latin Eldidum to the chronology of Eusebius. And dealing with haplogroup I in the same region, this is from Eupedia, haplogroup I1 Y-DNA. Haplogroup I1 is the most common type of haplogroup I in Northern Europe. It is found mostly in Scandinavia and Finland, where it typically represents over 35% of the Y chromosomes associated with the North ethnicity. I1 is found in all places invaded by ancient Germanic tribes and the Vikings, after the core of ancient Germanic civilization in Scandinavia. The highest frequencies of I1 are observed in other Germanic-speaking regions, such as Germany, Austria, the Lowlands, England, and the Scottish Lowlands, which all have between 10% and 20% of I1 lineages. And this is from the tug of war between genetics and archaeology. Interestingly, the medieval Jewish name for Germany is Ashkenaz, but what makes the connection even more telling is that it appears in Ashkenazi's grandson, Evengon, or great-grandson, Istravon, settled in northern Germany and then spread out from there to Denmark and the Netherlands. From there, no later than the 8th generation of Ashkenaz, Savoskus, they had colonized Sweden and conquered England. The timeline for this is somewhere between 1900 through 1652 BC, according to historian James Anderson, which fits right into the end of the Ice Age and early post-Ice Age in Northern Europe. And then just dealing with haplogroup I from Eupedia. The Germanic migrations dispersed I1 lineages to Britain, Anglo-Saxons, Belgium, Franks, Saxons, France, Franks, Visigoths, South Germany, Franks, Switzerland, Iberia, Visigoths, Vandals, Italy, Goths, Vandals, Lombards, Austria, Ostrogoths, Lombards, Ukraine, Goths, as well as around Hungary and northern Serbia. The Danish and Norwegian Vikings brought more I1 to Britain, Ireland, the Isles of Man, Normandy, Flanders, Iberia, Sicily. The Swedish Vikings, the Varangians, set up colonies in Russia and Ukraine and outposts as far as the Byzantine Empire, the Caucasus, and Persia. The higher frequency of I1 in northwest Russia, east of the Baltics, hints at had a particular strong Varangian presence in which it coordinated with the establishment of the Ketavan Rus by the Swedes. And here's just a map of haplogroup I1 in the regions of Northern Europe. And this is where Ashkenaz is believed to have went to, because they're literally the same people. Goths and Visigoths and Ostrogoths, Germanic tribes, Norsemen, all the Northern European types. And therefore they would have been Nordic in phenotype, depigmented, rather tall and long to medium high skulled, relatively large head group found in its highest frequencies in northern Europe. Started to develop during the Upper Paleolithic when Cro-Magnon settled in Europe, reached its modern form after the influx of Indo-European migrants from the east around 5000 BCE, the corded wire. So, now what's interesting about Togarmah being haplogroup J and Ashkenaz being haplogroup I is that both Togarmah and Ashkenaz are brothers according to the biblical narrative. If you read Genesis chapter 10, verse 2 through 5, the sons of Japheth were Gomer, and then Gomer has descendants. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz and Togarmah. That's very fascinating. Ashkenaz and Togarmah are brothers, both descending from Gomer. Ashkenaz and Togarmah. Interesting. Furthermore, if you recall haplogroup I and J, they too are brothers in a sense, descending from haplogroup IJ. Haplogroup IJ is a human Y chromosome DNA haplogroup, an intermediate descendant of haplogroup IJK, formerly known as haplogroup F-L15. The intermediate descendants of IJ are haplogroup I and haplogroup J. Its sole sibling is K, which includes most of the world's male population. In a sense, if you want to use a young Earth or even an old Earth model, you could say that Torgarmah equals haplogroup J and Ashkenaz equals haplogroup I. Haplogroup J and I would belong to the lineage of Japheth, specifically Gomer. It's very compelling to see how scriptures can line up with DNA. With that being said, there is another way we can look at Ashkenaz, but I'll cover that later. Also, we can go further into Togarmah and haplogroup J, but I'll also cover that later as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, click the bell, and share the video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below and follow my social media accounts if you want to contact me. And with all of that out of the way, have a great day and shalom.